This video comes from my Archaeology Corroborates the Bible series. Entries in this series are based on the book Unearthing the Bible, written by Titus Kennedy. Kennedy looks at 101 archaeological discoveries that bring the Bible to life. Dr. Titus Kennedy is a professional field archaeologist, an adjunct professor at Biola University, a research fellow at Discovery Institute, and has been a consultant, writer, and guide for history and archaeology documentaries and curricula. Kennedy currently directs archaeological projects in Bible lands, and he has researched and photographed artifacts from around the world. Artifacts left behind from the vanished ancient world of the Bible have been found and recovered through archaeology. What is an artifact? In simple terms, an artifact is an ancient object made or modified by humans, and many have been found, especially in recent years, at archaeological sites around the world. Artifacts include statues, altars, jewelry, weapons, tools, inscriptions, paintings, coins, scarabs, tablets, papyri, stelae, reliefs, and pottery, showcasing the artistic and technological prowess of the ancients. But more importantly, artifacts tell stories of the past. They serve as both visual and informational aids that provide insight into that ancient context and toward an accurate understanding and interpretation. The Bible is a collection of books written millennia ago in places and cultures far removed from modern readers, but artifacts can give us essential knowledge of the ancient world and help us avoid the problem of unconsciously or inadvertently viewing a passage or book in the context of a modern society and time. Because the Bible contains stories from the ancient world, written in a style different than the method of modern historians and paired with theology, many have assumed that the narratives in the Bible are myth, legend, and propaganda instead of accurate history. In fact, the majority of scholars, most media and educational sources, and many in the general public regard the Bible as a fairy tale and frequently portray it as unimportant or irrelevant beyond literary and religious studies. For years, the Bible's been routinely attacked and disregarded on the basis of history or archaeology. And yet, when people look into what archaeologists have unearthed, a different story comes to light, showing that instead of fiction and fairy tales, archaeology indicates that the Bible preserves an accurate recounting of the history addressed in its pages. Specifically, hundreds of artifacts from the distant past have demonstrated the events, people, and places in the Bible to be historical. The tomb of Khnumenhotep II, who was a monarch, the ruler or governor of a nome or province in ancient Egypt, of Oryx, during the reign of Amenemhat II and Senuseret II, was decorated with elaborate wall paintings and accompanying inscriptions that recount events and lifestyle in 19th century BC Egypt. Inside his tomb at Beni Hassan, Egypt, part of the wall painting from about 1870 BC depicts a group of pastoral nomadic Semites entering Egypt from Canaan with their livestock and spices during the reign of Pharaoh Senuseret II. Semite is a designation referring to people of the ancient world who spoke a Semitic language including Akkadian, Ammonite, Aramaic, Assyrian, Babylonian, Canaanite, Edomite, Hebrew, Moabite, Phoenician, and Ugaritic. The ancient Egyptians often referred to all people from Western Asia as Asiatics. While the dating of this particular archaeological finding would be slightly earlier than when Joseph and subsequently his father Jacob arrive in Egypt, the events occur in the same general historical period. According to archaeological excavations and information derived from various ancient documents and artwork, during this time, large numbers of people from Western Asia immigrated into Egypt and settled primarily in the Nile Delta region, just as Jacob and his family also did. Following this period, the Egyptian pharaoh Amhos I retook Lower Egypt and began enslaving Semites or Asiatics, an Egyptian designation for people from the area of Greater Canaan that would have included Hebrews and other tribal groups, as recorded in Exodus chapter 1. The transition from a pharaoh who did not know Joseph to the forced labor of the Hebrews and other Semites seems to fit the transition from the rule of the Hyksos to the 18th dynasty and the subsequent policy of forced labor upon Asiatics and other non-Egyptians. Men, women, children, animals, and supplies were painted on the panel in colorful detail, giving insight into the look and style of people from Canaan in the time of the patriarchs. The leader or chieftain of this group, Abishai, is shown following the Egyptian man, Kiati, overseer of hunters, who was in their escort within Egypt. During the Middle Kingdom and Second Intermediate period before the Hyksos expulsion in the 16th century BC, people from Western Asia were able to cross into Egypt more easily. On the panel, a multicolored tunic, which was a fashionable and expensive piece of clothing from Canaan, is also showcased. Joseph, son of Jacob, was given a similarly multicolored tunic as a gift from his father before he was sold into slavery by his jealous brothers. Eventually, the patriarch or chieftain Jacob, along with his entire family, immigrated to Egypt from Canaan in the early 17th century BC and were given a designated area to settle in Egypt, similar to what had occurred with Abishai and his people decades earlier. Genesis 46:6. It says, "So they took their livestock and their goods, which they had acquired in the land of Canaan, and went to Egypt, Jacob and all his descendants with him." So we see the migration from Israel to Egypt, corroborated in history from the tomb of Khnumenhotep II. Archaeology corroborates the Bible.
I see the evidence of your goodness.